Happy Teach It Tuesday. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to take a peek at the text about push-ups and why they're important for runners. And we're just going to run through proper push-up form and some options and modifications if you need them. And then also kind of what movements to avoid. So jumping right in, the text talks about plank positioning and firing up that anterior chain, right? So I typically do pull my toes up a bit and engage that tibialis anterior to just sort of be able to fire up that anterior chain, tibialis anterior, quads, hip flexors, abs, and then we added pecs to that list because it's all sort of in the front of the body, working together. So pulling the toes up actively, pulling the toes forward. My hands are slightly wider than slightly wider than shoulder width, and they're actually sort of slightly behind my shoulders. And I come down and come back up. Coming down at a nice, even, slow pace, pushing all the way up. I don't forcefully lock my elbows at the top. I kind of come to like a softer elbow position at the top. I also don't come down super duper far, but I do come down far enough that I'm sort of getting the shoulder even with my body. I'll show you a front view as well. Right, so I'm not coming all the way down below. Certainly you can, as long as it doesn't irritate your shoulders. It is a little bit more challenging. And if you need to modify by not going as deep, that is okay too. There are some mixed opinions out there about knee push-ups. I will tell you why personally I think they are great. Done right. So done right, a knee push-up would maintain that nice straight line and maintain that nice plank position from the shoulder to the knee, instead of from the shoulder to the ankle, as with a traditional plank position. So we're still engaging the quad, hip flexor, not the quad as much, but the proximal attachment of the quad, hip flexors, core, and pecs, right? We're still really firing up that anterior chain. You just have to think about pulling your heels toward your butt as you do it, so that we're maintaining that nice straight alignment. If you're doing it with your hiney in the air and your hips flexed, you're sort of losing some of that core engagement. So I think done correctly, meaning keeping yourself in a nice straight line, maintaining flexion in the knees, and sort of actively pulling your heels toward your bottom. I think it's a perfect modification and is completely applicable for what we're trying to use the push-up for. Another perfectly acceptable modification is doing the push-up on an incline. So against the wall, as it's done in our program, I believe in Workout A, perfectly acceptable modification. You are missing that toes up or that anterior tibialis firing, but you are with a knee push-up as well, so not a big deal. Still getting the whole rest of the anterior chain engaged. The things to focus on are, keeping proper form. Again, I think we talked about the fact that my elbows were not coming out at like a straight out from my shoulder kind of angle. Mine are kind of closer in toward my sides as I come down. And the reason for that is just how I like to engage my pecs and the anterior shoulder muscles, getting a little bit more of the lat firing in there to help with that. Pulling down and pushing forward of the shoulder blades as well as serratus anterior, which helps to, bring that shoulder blade forward and do that forward pushing motion. These are all just muscles that work together to help with bringing the shoulder blade into proper alignment and bringing it down and toward the front of the body in the proper way, making sure that just everything's working properly with the shoulder girdle, which is typically the most frequently injured body part with push-ups. It's just because of that weird arm position people try and get where they're like 90-90. It's just not necessary. You can bring the elbows down. You can bring the hands closer to you down this way and still get a really great push-up. And in my opinion, personally, like a better, safer push-up. And, you know, you can play with different hand angles, but, you know, you're just going to be sort of working typically the same muscle group, just in a slightly different way. Another thing is the wrists. My wrists personally have been bothering me lately, so push-ups have been a little like, eh. So one thing you can do is you can take Tylenol for the inevitable headache that the screaming children give you, and it'll also help your wrist pain. Or you can roll up a yoga mat and you can place it under the heel of your hand, which allows for a softer angle at the wrist. Your fingers are sort of pointed down, and it's just not as irritating or aggravating. Another perfectly viable option would be hands on dumbbells, and that allows you to keep a completely neutral wrist position as opposed to an extended wrist position. Hands on dumbbells works, hands on kettlebells. These are all great modifications for, or even up on your barbell. If you threw your barbell up on a couple small weights and you were doing bar push-ups on the bar, again, you're able to keep more of a neutral wrist position. Lots of options is my point. And if you have any questions that are personal to your anatomy or any history of injury that you have or any current sore spots that you feel like push-ups might, you know, bother or irritate, you know, throw your questions in the comments or shoot us an email. Please take a couple minutes and video your push-up form and email it to Aileen or myself, or drop it here in the comments by Friday for Form Check Friday. And have a great week, guys. We are here for you if you have any questions or need anything.